दोस्तों नमस्कार, a very warm welcome to this YouTube channel Charcha Chaitanya, and today we'll be exploring a discussion on how the political system is being influenced by the societal factors or societal structure. The societal structure and political issues are connected and it influences each other. To take up all such important aspects to our discussion today, I have a very special guest with me, Professor Sarthik Bagh, who is a former head Department of Political Science, Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University, Lucknow. I would be welcoming him to this discussion. Professor Sarthik Bagh ji, namaskar and very welcome to this particular YouTube channel. Charcha Chaitanya. Welcome, Professor Sarthik Bagh ji.
Thank you, Professor Bhuti, for inviting me to this conversation. Hope I will respond to your questions.
Yeah, Sarthik, thank you very much, Sarthik. I would like to know, how does social inequality influences the political participation in a democratic societies? When I say that social inequality, I mean to say caste, class, gender. How caste, class, gender influences the political participation in a democratic societies like India?
If the country has a democratic polity, that is when the polity is organized around the principle of democracy, then the inequality that you spell out, caste, class, gender, they will play significant role in influencing the politics of the country. Their role will be very significant in determining the level of participation. I would say that caste is one major social inequality in India, and caste signifies privilege for some people, and also it signifies deprivation and marginalization for some other people. So people who have suffered caste, who are at the margin, they will always look for issues and agenda which support them. So various parties, generally they appeal to the caste, for example Dalit in India or Adivasi in India, even backward caste. So they take interest in those political parties which raise their problems, which raise their issues. So they actively participate in politics in the hope that their problems will be resolved sometime. You may also recall here that states like Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, many Hindi-speaking states, there are political parties who are talking and advocating the cause and issues of the deprived caste. Okay, so because of them, the participation rate among Dalit backwards have increased significantly, to the extent that even UP witnessed one government many times by BSP headed by Mayawati. So caste has a very significant role to play in a country like ours, because the people who suffered under caste, they will definitely mobilize under the party which advocate their causes. We have class politics also, but class politics, I think, not a prominent phenomena in Indian politics. But class issues are actually gaining ground. If you recall here that 2-3 states in India, West Bengal, Kerala, Tripura, these states actually they had class politics. Left party emerged in this state, and the party mobilized the landless, poor, even scheduled caste people. For that, the party remained in power for a long time. It was a class politics, but it was confined to very few states. It was not an all India phenomena. And when it comes to gender is also gaining traction in recent time. Again, it is not a prominent phenomena in Indian politics. Not that uh, gender on the line of gender, women are voting in large number to the parties which is raising their issues. Many new studies have come which say that women are now forming a separate group, and they are actually voting to those parties which are benefiting them, है ना? Which are talking about women issues and so on. So, but even if this is a new trend, but this is not, I think, at a mass scale. This is just, I would say, in the preliminary stage. It cannot be a mass level issue in politics. So these are some issues. They have significant influence in politics, and because of that, actually, the level of participation among the women also increasing. So this is what I wanted to say on this very question.
What exactly, if you look at these issues in Indian context, specifically as per your suggestions and narrations, caste plays a very vital role than class and gender. However, in certain states, class factors are very much predominant. In this particular context, if you look at political institutions, how does these political institutions are reflected by the cultural and moral values of the society they govern? In the sense that societal values in one way or other reflected or has an impact on the political institutions. So as per your experience, as per your understanding, how do you look at this interconnection between the impact of values and morality ethics on political institutions?
Yes, I think this question is about state-center relation. We call it in political science we call it whether state is influencing society or society is influencing the state. So there is a continuum here. So this is a question still we discuss debate about it. It depends what kind of institution that we have. All the cultural and moral values are not necessarily good, and this is also not true that political institutions should not be influenced by the cultural and moral values which people respect, which people obey in their day-to-day life. So, India, it is a democratic country. I would say this is not fully modern, but also a modern country, emerging country in that sense. But our institutions are not actually silent on the cultural and moral values of the society. They, wherever it is possible, the institution they reflect the moral values, cultural values that people believe in. For example, Parliament. Parliament sometimes makes legislation, keeping into view this aspect, cultural and moral values of the society. So institutions are sensitive to what people think, but not all moral values, not all cultural values to be considered by the political institution. Supreme Court delivered the judgment. This is keeping in mind the cultural and moral values of the people. For example, Ram Mandir issues. So that is one example. So institution is not outside of society. It is a part of society, and institutions have to also take into account what people think, what they believe in. To that extent, India, I think, has played a balancing role. India's role is here. I would say I would admire India's role here, that it has not actually exceeded the balance. It has maintained a balance between the institutional professionalism and moral, cultural, and social value that people have, or that something we believe in. So that is a good sign of the country, that we have not actually obliterated the social values or moral aspect of our society. We have taken with us.
Yes, I think when we talk about political institutions and the interface between political institutions and societal and cultural aspects of society influencing it, I think you have talked about parliament is one such institution. You talked about Supreme Court is also another kind of institutions. So apart from, there are certain institutions which are supposed to be functioning in a democratic way. What presently Rahul Gandhi is also trying to raise all such issues, that the democratic institutions in the country are being somehow managed and controlled by a political kind of party. What is your take on this particular aspect? What exactly the opposition leaders are now trying to highlight about that there is an institutional crisis, or institutions are taken into custody of a political party? It is not that healthy sign for a democracy like India. What is your take on this?
This is also a time of authoritarianism. Many political scientists in India, they consider India now a authoritarian state. You'll find India is slipping into an authoritarian phase. This way, many people, scholars, they look at the present polity of the country, and it is a debate. It is a debate. And it is a part of what your question is part of authoritarianism, and authoritarianism has become a worldwide phenomenon. It is not that India is experiencing this phase at the moment. Worldwide, major country, for example, America is also affected by this trend of authoritarianism. Authoritarian period, actually the leaders emerge as a very strong one, leaders control everything, and this is also not the first time we are experiencing authoritarian tendency in India. We are familiar with authoritarian tone in India, because during Indira Gandhi also we had this phase which lasted for 2 to 3 years. And this is, I think, the second phase of authoritarian tendency in Indian polity. So, in authoritarian polity, the strong is the leader is very strong, and he wants to control everything. So, in the process, the major institutions are captured. And the institutional autonomy are compromised. The institutions are not allowed to function as it should. So it functions the way the leader thinks. So this is a phenomenon, of course, we cannot reject it. This is a phenomenon real. And we have no idea how long this period will continue. This is a threat, because the pillars of development are the institutions, and the institutions lose their autonomy, then actually there is a danger, there is a fear that it will lead to unexpected, unwanted consequences in the country. So we now see it as a reality. We cannot go away from it, And how long this phase will continue, that is nobody's guess. But this is a phase.
Yeah. Now, when you talk about authoritarian state and authoritarian governance system, of course, how do you look at this authoritarian governance system and people's participations or people's assertion, specifically the movements which all the time trying to threat or try to pose a question to the authoritarian governance system. So that means the role of assertions, role of social movement is very important in a democracy. So what is your take on this social movement and how does the social movement influences authoritarian governance system and the social policies which has been formulated by the government.
So far as social movement is concerned, social movement, India is rich for the social movement. From the very beginning, prominent social movement emerged in the country, and the social movement played a significant role to influence the policy making of the country. Chipko movement, Narmada Bachao Andolan, then Lokpal bill, all these movements emerged in the past, and it was possible because of a democratic environment. Now the period, as I called you, that we are undergoing a phase of authoritarian tendency in Indian polity. So social movement which played very significant role in earlier decades, I think they have a hard time to survive. So I would say that social movement, they have declined to a great extent, except few. Many cases, social movement have died down because authoritarian regime will not allow the social movement which question the government, which question the leader, and so on. So otherwise, social movement can play a very significant role in governance, and in influencing policy of the country. And many of our laws made by the parliament are something to do with the social movement. Okay, RTI, it was a result of social movement. Right to education, it was a result of social movement. Right to food, this was also a result of social movement. So in the present time, I think the extent of social movement which is expected in a democratic country doesn't exist. Even if it exists, it is not active or dynamic, and there is a fear, except few. I don't think it is a phenomena visible across the country now.
No, if you talk about the recent agriculture bill last 3 years back, the government has to withdraw that agriculture bill because there was a lot of pressure and there was a protest, there was a movement which somehow influenced the decision making of the governance system. So in the recent days, there are many such assertions and movement which has influenced the social policy in India. If you can you be little narrate about these recent assertions and movements which has really impacted the decision of the government?
There are examples where social movement was instrumental, for which the government also accepted. So, but as I told you that this is the cases are not many. These cases are very few. Social movement influencing the government decision, and you may recall here that the farmers protest movement. Farmers protest movement. It continued for more than 6 months, close to 1 year or so. So even after 6 months, the movement was not able to have significant impact on government. Okay. So when the election was around the corner in Uttar Pradesh, then government took a stand. Government was not willing to reach out to the farmers. No? So it was a electoral compulsion on the part of the government that they listen to the farmers' protest to some extent. But again, the demand which they raised, have those demands been fulfilled by the government now? No. They just assured, they formed committee, they held meeting. Thereafter, the major demands have not been fulfilled by the government, and there is no huge mass level social movement, farmers movement at the moment. Okay, because as I told you that leader, authoritarian leader is one who thinks that he knows everything. He knows everything, and he is a messiah, and what he thinks is good for the people. Okay, so in that mindset, given that kind of mindset of the leader, or given that kind of authoritarian attitude, it is very difficult for a social movement, to emerge every time and leave some impact on the government. It is very hard. It is a hard time.
Sarthikji, the politicization of identity, like caste, religion, and ethnicity. How do you look at this politicization on the basis of religion, caste, ethnicity, which has, I think, is a very, very crucial aspects of Indian democracy. What times people say that when you talk about caste and ethnicity, they helps us to have an inclusive kind of politics. On the other hand, but when you look at religion or religious-based or religious identity-based politics, is somehow a problematic issue in India. So whether both these aspects like caste and religion goes hand in hand as far as inclusive politics is concerned, or it has to be understood in a different parallelences.
Or our politics is very, very competitive, because we have multi-party system. So that increase the chance of being more politicized of everything, So caste is one among them. As I told you in the beginning that caste is something which is a source of privilege for some people, and which is a cause of deprivation and marginalization for some people. So the people who have suffered this deprivation, marginalization, exclusion, and so on. So if they organize around their caste identity for the social justice, I think that is in sync with inclusive democracy. Poor people, marginalized people, weaker section, they are asking for their right, they are asking for justice. So that will contribute to inclusive democracy, because after all, the issues the issues they advocate, the issues they raise, the thing they demand, is all for mainstreaming their life, So to that extent, it is definitely contributing to strengthening democracy.
What we discuss or what we derive from the discussion we have with Professor Sarthik Bag, that Indian democracy is getting mature day by day, and it is becoming inclusive, and social movement and protest assertions have also contributed significantly to make Indian democracy a vibrant democracy. I think with this positive note, I will be requesting my viewers that they must think and react and reflect on this issue, specifically in the context of caste, class, power, gender. How does these social issues are impacting our political processes, our political institutions, and political behavior of people? So therefore, all your comments, you are welcome to this particular channel. You must put your comments by which we can develop our understanding about the political process in the country. At the very outset, I would be extending a heartfelt thankfulness to my friend Professor Sarthik Bag, who spared his valuable time to join this Charcha Chaitanya YouTube channel to enlighten all our viewers and students. Thank you very much, Professor Sarthik Bharti.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, friends. Please take care and do listen these discussions carefully and write your comments and suggestions and like and share. Thank you very much. Namaskar.